Okay, so coming back to Revit, and I want to have a go at making a pyramid-shaped, I suppose, display unit. That's essentially a pyramid shape, but with the pyramid defined by a frame. So I'm of course going to make this in a family file, so I can reuse this object. And so I'm going to go to the File menu, New, Family, and then I'll just use the metric generic model template. Okay, so then to begin with, it's very simple. I'm just going to make an extrusion and then make a rectangle for the base. And I'll just draw this very roughly to start off. And that's a common approach when you're making elements like this. I want it to be a rectangle, but I haven't worried too much about the size of the rectangle to start with, because now I'm going to draw dimensions and pick the side, the middle, or the center line, and then the other side, and place my dimension to one side, and then do the same for the other direction. So again, choose the bottom, the center, and then the top, place that to one side. Now I'm going to do the overall dimension, so I'm going to pick the top and the bottom, place that to the side, and then the same left and right, and place that above. So now I'm going to show you a really good trick that you can use to make these dimensions adjustable and usable. So firstly, I'm going to set the dimension I used for measuring to the center line to equals, and you can see it's changed that measurement. That's fine, so I'm going to choose the other one and do the same thing, equals. So the measurements are different. I want them to be the same. The problem now is if I select one of the lines to change that measurement, you'll see it's locked. And that can be a bit off-putting, because you want to change it. Now I can drag that line and that will change the measurement. But I don't want to do it that way. I want to type in a measurement. So you might find out that if you turn equals off, it will then let you type in a measurement. So I can make it, let's say, 2,000. I actually want to make it smaller than that, but for now 2,000, just so you can see it change. But now it's not centered anymore over these center lines. That's a problem. So now I'll show you the trick that you can use to make it work, make it adjustable. So I make this equals again, and then this one again equal. So the little trick is to make it a parameter. So we select the dimension at the top and go to this button here to add a parameter. And then I'm going to call this width. And then this other one on the side, and again create parameter, and I'll call that depth. So now I can click on that dimension and change it. Just that little trick. And I know it seems strange at first, but it'll make sense. The more you do it, the more it'll make sense. And so again, I'll select this other line now, and I can, well, in fact, I don't need to select the line even. I can click on the dimension. And that's a great thing, because you probably know already that normally you can't select a dimension to change the value. But once it's got a parameter, you can. And that's the secret, really. So here we go, 1500, and it changes, and notice it's all still equals. And there is a logical reason for it. When you do it more, you'll see why it's like that. But again, for now, just remember the trick, and it'll make your life easier. So there we are. So I've got the base size that I want. Now, if you're not getting that to work with dimensions, you can just manually choose each line and put in the spacing that you want from the center line. But it's a really helpful and important thing to have this extrusion centered over those reference planes. You'll see when I get to the next step why. So I'm going to finish this. Go to the 3D view, and we can see it is just a box, nothing too complicated. And then I'm going to type in the height I want my pyramid shape to be. So let's say, what, 120 centimetres. Oh yes, so 1200. Right, so that's right. I'm just going to type that in properties. I'm not going to worry about using any parameters for this. So now I'm going to go to the front view and we can see our box shape. So now to make it into a pyramid, I'm going to do two things. Well, I'm going to make two voids. Now you probably, if you're thinking about this, would realise that I could have just extruded this sideways. If I drew a triangle and extruded to the side, that would have worked as well. But I want to show you a few tricks as well. So again, if I go to void forms, void extrusion, and then just draw my triangle shape, and then I'm going to take it up and then back across and then down again. Right, because I can't just trace over the top because that will give me a line that touches the peak there and it wouldn't be a properly closed shape. So you need to have a gap there, so it just needs to be a bit larger than the box that I'm trying to subtract from, or go a bit higher. And then I'm going to make the extrusion start minus, minus 2000, and I'll make the extrusion end 2000. So I'll finish it and then show you, if I go into 3D, you'll see what those values are doing. So we'll look at maybe from above even, and you can see there, so it starts at minus 2000, so it starts down here, that's 2 metres from this centre line, and it goes to positive 2000, and so that's 2000 up here. Doesn't matter that it's bigger than the box shape, that's absolutely fine. And there we are, so I've got my little wedge. So that's the first step, or the first part done. So now I'll just select that, that void, and I'm going to go back to the plan, ref level, choose rotate, and tick copy. And then I'm just going to rotate it around 90 degrees, back into my 3D view, and we've got a pyramid. So that can be a difficult thing at first, until you know about working in different planes, and then you should be able to achieve it. So then I want to make the cutouts to turn this into a frame. Now, honestly, if I was doing this myself, I'd use the massing tools or adaptive components or something to make it, but this will work. So if we go into front view, and then I could try and modify the voids that I've got, but instead I'm going to make a new void. So again, void forms, void extrusion, pick lines in the draw panel, and I'm going to put in the offset that I want for the thickness of my frame. So let's say 50 is the thickness I want, and then I can pick all of the edges of my triangle. And to give you a tip there, if you try and press tab, it should be able to chain all the way around that triangle, and I can just choose it by clicking once. And then I can use the same settings as I did before for the start and the end of the extrusion. Click finish, and then into my 3D view, if I just click to the side, you'll see I've got it cutting through in that direction. So now I'll pick that inner void again, so making sure it's really important that I've got the right one. Going back to the floor plan, and then rotate, and again, tick copy, click, click, swing it around 90 degrees, and then back into 3D, go frame. So, lastly, we might just need to cut out the base. And this is where it helps to think about the order that you're doing things, because to make it nice and neat, well actually, sorry, let's think about it. Yeah, you might want to cut at an angle. This is where, sorry, I'm going to have to think for a second. Yeah, we want, it's going to be a tricky one to do that base. So what I'll do is I'll just take it straight down. That's the simple way. Later I'll try to show you how to cut it at an angle, which technically would be more correct, but let's just do it the quick way. So I'm going to go to, again, create panel, and this time make yet another void. And notice I'm in my 3D view, and I'm doing that for a reason. So void forms, void extrusion, and what I'm going to try and do there is line it up with the corners here at least. And you can see that it's, well, probably hard to tell, but I'm actually drawing on the ground plane still. I don't want that. I want to be able to draw on this surface that's above the ground. So I'm going to click the Set button, pick a plane, click OK, and pick that surface that you can see there on my base of my pyramid. And then I'll draw. You can see I can snap now to these endpoints. And just trace around the base. You can orbit while you're drawing, that's fine. And there we are. So that's all I need for my little void here. And then I'm going to make the extrusion start 0 and the extrusion end minus 100. Click to finish, and that'll cut the bottom out. Oh, wait, sorry. It's upside down. So it's instead of, yeah, that's often the case. The plane's direction is determined by the surface, and that surface, it thinks it's looking upside down. So instead of minus 100 for the extrusion, it's got to be 100. And there we go, now it's going the right way. So that's it. If you want to take it a bit further, you could make, maybe just do a void blend if you want to cut that at an angle. That would work. There's a few different methods you could use, but a void blend would do it. Do you want me to show you a void blend for the base? Make it 100% perfect. I mean, this would be good enough for most cases, but let's look at it. It's interesting. So, okay, so doing a blend, I'll, again, void forms, but this time void blend. So again, I'm going to choose set and pick a plane, okay, and then make sure I get that surface, basically to make it easier to snap to these corner points. And right, so that's the same as the extrusion that I just did. And then next time though, for the next shape, I'm going to go to the plan view. And then I'm going to click Edit Top. Okay, so we know our frame is 50 mil deep, so I'm going to go to Pick Lines and then make that offset 50. And then pick these outer edges of my pyramid. And then here I do need to make the end value exact. I've got to make that 50. I can't take it past the bottom. You'll see why, otherwise it will project at the wrong angle. So now into my 3D view. And, see, it's so weird the way it goes upside the other way. So it's going the opposite way. So this time it's minus 50. So unpredictable, that thing. But it's normally just a matter of reversing the direction. And there we are. So you can see it's cutting perfectly at the angle of the cube. Oh, well, I could, but it would take it at the wrong angle. Because I measured, yeah, the two shapes. Yeah. So that's it. So that's our... Yeah. Yeah, it was 50. Yeah, yeah. So that's right. So here, that's 50 from there to there. So that's why, because I drew the top shape on here and the bottom shape off there. Oh no, the angle's wrong. Okay, so my mass is out. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Don't want to do some trigonometry, but yeah. So there, you can see the angle there isn't actually right. So what I need to do, I'll show you how to make it right. So I need to measure from here to here. So I don't want to do any trigonometry. 59 mil instead of 50. Yeah. So I'll go and fix it. It's good to get it right. So not a problem. I can just go back and edit that void by going to Edit Top. And so it's got to move 9 mil inwards. So there's a great option for that when you go to offset. And then I'll turn that copy option off, make that 9, and then use tab to pick all 4 of those lines, and it just moves them all 9 mil. So back into 3D, and there we go. And then to check it, I mean here it looked right even with the other angle, but if we go into this elevation there, you can see that angle's right. So if you want to be perfect, that's what you can do, but I would have just been happy with it going straight. Most of the time, most people wouldn't even notice, and so that's the first step. So we've got the pyramid frame. I'll tell you what, I'll save this so you can get to it on the P drive. So I'll save it here first, because if you work in an office where they're using Revit, it's not unusual at all to have someone who specialises in making families, and they're going to give you families for the things you need. So let's call this pyramid frame. So then, the next thing, which is also a really helpful thing to know, is how to put this together. So if we want it like Susie wants, where you've got them stacked. Got one like this on the ground, another one that's flipped 180 degrees upside down. So how do you put those together? Right? And gold, yeah, so the materials will do too. Okay, so yeah, good you reminded me about the material, so I'll start to set that up. So to set the material, I need to find the original extrusion. So I'm going to select that. It's the box that I'm after. And you see all the voids there, which makes it a bit confusing, but don't worry about that. They'll go in a minute. So there, that is actually a void. Or is it a plane? I don't even know what I've got there. So to make it give me the extrusion, the solid extrusion, I'm going to press Tab until it highlights the original shape. And you'll know when you've got it because it'll give you the option to set a material. You can't set a material to the voids. And so there, I'm not actually going to set a material here, I'm going to set a parameter. And as I keep saying, the key to understanding Revit is realising why it has parameters, and that's what makes it a lot more powerful than SketchUp or other programs like that, but also a lot more complicated. So I'm going to call this pyramid frame material, and then OK, and OK, and again save the file, and then this is the next big thing I want to show you, which you probably already have some idea about, but really want to take it further. I'm going to make a new family. So don't be afraid to make multiple families for more complicated groups of components. It will help you to have families within families. So I'm going to use, again, metric generic model. So it's just a blank family. So then I'm going to go back to the pyramid. That's not it. So it must be, where's it gone? There it is. Okay, so there's my pyramid file. And then I'm going to click Load into Project. But I'm not going to tick a project, I'm going to tick that new family file, which is called Family 2 at the moment. Okay, and now I can place it in here. Then I'm going to go to the front view and try and rotate it. And this is where, look, I'm not 100% sure it's going to work. I might have to check some settings, but I'm going to try anyway. And so I'm going to, in this front view, just choose rotate and try and flip that around, and it's telling me it can't rotate into this position. This is why I wanted to show this to you, because it's a bit of a problem with Revit. So we've got to go and make it rotatable. How do we do that? We go back to the original file firstly, and make sure in here you've got this option, Family Category and Parameters. And you can see there, it's got this option that catches people out, always vertical. I wish they hadn't put it in there. It's so frustrating. Because I think the developers just thought, architects and designers, they want things to be vertical most of the time, because walls tend to be, straight and things like that. But it actually will get in the way quite often, that option. So that's one of the main problems. but then we've also got an issue with the base shape. It can be tied to a work plane, but I think these are all... Well, no, because then I'd lose the holes. So, yeah, they've got to stay. Yeah. So here you've got this option to disassociate work plane. That can help as well. But I'm just going to try it with the with that option, and let's go back to the new file. So I'll, in fact, I'll just undo so that it's not loaded, and then go back into here with the pyramid, and again try loading the project. Family 2, yes, and then, oh yeah, it's still loaded with the overwrite, and then to place it, go to component, and try again. Pretty sure it will still give me the same issue. Yeah. It's so frustrating. And so, what I'll do instead is go back into my new file. I'll just reload it. So I'll load in the project again, family 2, yep, here we are. And again, just place it. Show you there's another way. Okay, so this object, if you select it, you'll see it's hosted by this level. So I'm going to go and make a new reference plane and just test it. So if I go and choose pick new host, is it? No, it's not plane based. Okay. So it's my mistake. I should have started differently, but I'll go and fix it. Okay, so in here we'll go to also tick work plane based. So I forgot that one. So in the family category parameters, tick work plane based, and that's hopefully going to be the last fiddly thing. So save, load in the project, and again into family 2, override existing version, and now that's better. Okay, so if I go and make a reference plane, just to test it out, pick new, and work plane, and there we are. You can see I can put it at basically any angle now, and that's a really powerful thing. And then also I should be able to even, flip this one. Okay, so all I'm going to do now, you'll see once you get those options set up properly, it's not too bad. So I'm going to copy this up. Don't worry about the warning, and then flip the new one. How easy is that? So, in fact, I don't even need that reference plane there. We'll just delete it, and then I can move this. Now, if you need to do parameter-based rotations, then you've got to set the families up a little bit differently, but otherwise, that will get you through most of the issues that you've got rotating into different planes. So I think with yours, was it also rotated 45 degrees so that these bars didn't go through? Yeah, if you've got it, yeah, that'd be great. So if we need to rotate in a different plane, you can see rotating in the the YZ or the XZ planes a bit fiddly. But, oh no, so these do go through. That's just like this. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. But I'll just show you, if you want to rotate it the other way, so if we just want to rotate, say 45 degrees this way, no problem at all. It's just rotating away from the ground plane. Yeah, that's right, it is. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So anyhow, hopefully those things, you won't need to use all of them. If you don't need to use them all, then don't worry too much. But it's a good thing if you want to take the modelling further in Revit that you're doing. And so maybe I'll just finish up and get the materials set up now. So we've got these objects that you can see have the same parameter because they're the same family. When I go to edit type, they've got that pyramid frame material parameter. So I'm just going to click there and then go to I'll make my material here. Because I think I've told you before, it's not always a good idea to make materials in the family. But if you're going to make one for a library that other people... Oh, just because you have most of your materials in the project file. So you'll be doubling up.
So if you change it inside the family, it doesn't become a job that
No, not always. Not if you've already loaded it into the project. But I'm going to be loading it for the first time into the project now, so it's okay to make the material here, and that'll bring it across into the project. So I'll duplicate this material. Oh, in fact, no, I've been doing enough of that, so I'll show you the other way. I'll go down to this one. I've shown you all this option when you click on that button there to see this set of folders. I know you are. No, that's fine. Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. So again, this isn't essential, but it's a nice thing if you've already gotten used to making materials the way I've shown you. It's good to know about this one. So when you click on, say, the metal folder there, you've got a lot of pre-made materials, and there's a gold one there. Just saves me making it from scratch, and that's all set up, ready to go. I'll just use render appearance, and otherwise that's all done. And so now they both have that material because they're both the same family. So that maybe can give you an idea why nesting families is such a helpful thing, but not the only reason. So there we are. So now I'll just save that one as well. And we'll call it pyramid, double, I suppose. Fine. And then I'll click load into project, and then finally I can go into my project file and just place it wherever I like. So just changing to shaded. There we are. No worries.